So the first SmackDown on Fox has came and went. And so what did I think about it? Oh, I have mixed opinions to say the least. So, there was a lot of hype. Much like the AEW show. Probably more so even for AEW because that was new and sometimes you've got a vocal minority that's extremely loud. So AEW Dynamite had a lot behind it. And if you watch my review, you will see that I didn't think it was a bad show. It certainly didn't live up to the hype. I don't think there was any way that Dynamite could have lived up to that high stakes hype that everyone put on it. Which is probably why most people were saying that the show was so great, because they wanted to believe that it was, because after everything that they said it was going to be. And by all means, I'm pretty happy with the response to that video. I think because I wasn't overly critical of it. I did give a lot of praise where praise was due. I did praise it. And, for the most part, Dynamite was an acceptable show. Definitely better than what you would normally get on Raw and SmackDown. But not a lot, I said. But a lot of that had to do with the commentary. So what did we have tonight on SmackDown? What occurred? So there was a lot, and we're gonna get to it right now. Before we start, I will say that the show wasn't amazing. It wasn't great. It was definitely a stacked card. There was a lot of matches on here, more than normal. They really crammed a lot onto this card, a lot of things. Was it eventful? I guess a little bit. There were things that actually happened, which was nice for a change. Did it really seem story heavy? Not really. So I think more than anything, I think if you look at this, like if you're a new viewer headed in to watch this product, and you haven't watched in years, and this was the first time that maybe since you watched SmackDown back when it was on UPN or something like that, or one of the other, sci-fi, you haven't watched SmackDown in a very long time. You're coming back to watch SmackDown after decades, a decade and a half, whatever it may be, of an absence. I think after you watch this episode of SmackDown, I don't think you're coming back. I'm just going to say that. Especially if you're one of the fans that hasn't watched since the year 2000, 2001. If for whatever reason you didn't like the way the product was in 2002 or 2003, then you're certainly going to hate this product. So it goes without saying that this show, it wasn't a bust, but it definitely did not do anything to garner any new fans. Now, some people will disagree because of what happened at the end. I don't really think it's that big of a deal, and I'll explain when we get to it why I don't really think it's that big of a deal. This was way better than the average SmackDown. Obviously, that's why I'm not hating on it right away. But once we get through with this show, I'm sure most people are going to interpret this as me hating on it. And what did I think was better? AEW Dynamite or this? I'm not really too sure, but I would say there was probably more that I liked about the actual show here on SmackDown. But I don't know. I really did like listening to JR and Tony Schiavone, so that was a big nostalgia trip for me on AEW. So I don't think I really got that same rush out of this show. I didn't really feel a rush at any moment on this show. It felt, still pretty dry. I really felt that there was a genuine effort here to try to make this show above the norm. But I'm sorry to say, but I think that they could have done a better job. So anyway, let's start off. So we've got Stephanie McMahon and Vince McMahon kicking things off. They're the first things that we see. Vince is still looking like he's 1,000 years old. And Stephanie McMahon, I mean, like, especially if you have not seen Stephanie in years, and you hear that shrill, grating, annoying voice, and she only said one line, and it was just the most unbearable thing I think I ever heard. I think it's because she tried to put so much energy into it, and I don't know what it is, because I never cringed at her when she was in when she was in her various roles, like, being in the Alliance or being part of the McMahon-Helmsley faction back in 2000. Back there during the glory days of SmackDown. I don't think that she was that cringy as she is now. But for some reason, over the years, as she got older, she's at the point now where I can't stand to hear the woman's voice. I mean, that is one hell of a bad voice, I have to say. And no one is surprised to hear me say that who's watched this channel for a while. Stephanie used to be a decent character. I really enjoyed her, like I said, when she was paired up with Triple H. Back before, obviously, now, when they started doing the whole best for business type of storylines, the authority stuff. And then when she was the SmackDown GM, that was some good quality Stephanie material. But, here it's like I remember why I did not miss seeing her on WWE television. So we kick off. We've got an AC/DC song. I'm not thrilled with any of the current, wrestling, show themes that they use nowadays. So, okay, I mean, it's not a particularly great song, but whatever. It's not really that energetic. I'm sorry, but I still think back to the Beautiful People, or even that great, rock rap song that they had back in 2003. It's on the Here Comes the Pain game. Some people probably know it better for that. There's been some great theme songs, and I don't know, this one's just not that great, but I really enjoyed the opening graphic. I thought that looked really cool. It kind of reminded me of circa 2004 to 2006 SmackDown opening with the drowning pool theme. Remember, where wrestlers were just kind of whoa, floating in the air and stuff. That's how it was here, but it looked better. I will actually say that this opening actually looked superior to some of the old SmackDown intros that they had. So it was a good intro video. I'm not too crazy about Kofi Kingston being in there so much. The opening shot. So it's better after that opening shot. I'm just saying, Kofi Kingston, though, he's just kind of looking and smiling at you for about 5 straight seconds until they cut to the good part of the intro. And for those who know what happened on the show, that's what makes it even worse. But anyway, so good intro and everything. We kick it off. Great pyro. The set looks great. I think this is the best set that they've had in a while. Finally, it doesn't look as corporate and everything. I've got the feeling that they probably made some last minute adjustments to it. I could be wrong. They probably had this thing set up weeks or months in advance. But I think after seeing the AEW setup, they might have maybe tweaked it a little bit to make it look more futuristic. Because, like I said, if I didn't really mention it that much, I don't think in the AEW Dynamite review, but I thought that the production was really good. I think that everything that they had, on the stage looked really good. It looked professional, and it looked like big-time player type of stuff. And right here, they looked like this was WWE. It wasn't of course, it's not the Fist. It's not the original set with the Ovaltron and stuff like that. But it looked good. And, you know, coming from me saying this, you definitely know that it was a big change for me to really, like, take notice and say that here in a video. I was definitely impressed with the job they did with the stage. It looked good for the first time in a long time. And I don't know, like, why is it, like, they don't look back on that? Why it took them so long? Like, they know based on internet comments and comments on YouTube videos when they post old SmackDown content that people really like the old SmackDown stage. Why did it take them going to Fox to do that? Like, I felt like maybe Fox requested a better set. Like, you got to really do something about that boring set that you've got, you know, when you were doing the show on USA. I mean, like, so maybe the Fox execs do better research for the WWE show than the actual writers. I don't know, but there's got to be some reason why they stepped up the game so much. So we start things off, and, you know, who's the first wrestler that we see live and in person? You know, it's Stone Cold Cringy Lynch, of course. That's got to be the first one out of the gate. Of course, it's got to be her. So, you know, I feel like they really, like, stepped. I haven't been watching consistently, but from also what I hear and what I do see in terms of highlights, they've kind of reeled it in a little bit with Becky. They're not as so much into her. Now, I know she's on the cover of, you know, 2K20 and all that, but she's definitely not at WrestleMania 35 level anymore. I mean, they've really, like, pulled it back with Becky Lynch. But here, I've got to tell you, like, so Baron Corbin comes in, King Corbin with the crown and everything, comes in with the cape, and I mean, I saw this on the internet, I didn't talk about it, but, I mean, why is it? Why did they do this to this guy? I mean, honestly, I know I'm in the minority here, but I like Baron Corbin. I think if you look at this guy, like 2016 versus now, he's come so far. And I was one of the few people that actually liked him back then, saw the potential, and I said I liked the look. I liked what he did back in NXT. I thought when he worked that program with Austin Aries, he did a good job of coming across as like a tough wrestler and everything like that. But, I mean, man, I mean, they ripped this guy's balls off here big time. I mean, now, okay, so he comes out and, like, you have to ask yourself a question here. Like, let's be honest. I know people can say, oh, it's wrestling, you're looking too much into it and all that, but you know it's true. How did we get to this? Like, it's Becky. She's the women's champ. So why is Baron Corbin coming out there? Like, you know, honestly, like, you know, okay, like, he wants the spotlight to be on him. He wants to be the first one shown on SmackDown on Fox. But, like, why do I have to, like, think about that for a moment? Be like, why would they do this? Like, just tell it in a story, basically. No, but they have nothing story-wise headed into Fox, so of course they can't tell a story here. So it's just like, okay, we need something because, hey, you know who's in this segment? The Rock. The Rock comes out and it was great. I mean, The Rock did a great job on the mic, but let's face it, the Rock and Becky team up here, and, you know, they tear into Corbin. The Rock calls him, you know, he tells him that he looks like a 35-year-old virgin, you know, wearing at Comic-Con with the crown and the cape and everything. And he says, just because you're the king of the ring doesn't mean you have to dress like the king. And, you know, that is so funny because it's like, that's the criticism that many people had. Like, you know, even Vince Russo was talking about it on his podcast and everything. It's like, exactly. Like, and I notice this all the time whenever they use The Rock nowadays. They come out and, like, back in the day, it was good because they had good writing. So if The Rock buried someone on the mic, you know, Triple H would always throw something back The Rock's way, or Triple H would just start punching him in the face as a result. And, you know, that's not the case. Not only does Corbin get verbally, just castrated here, just destroyed. It's bad enough with Cena calling him a walking dumpster fire, and they, man, this guy's been through so much, and is it still because of the stuff he said on Twitter like years ago, back when he won the Money in the Bank? I mean, are we still burying this guy? No, but I mean, it's been going on for a while, like wearing the crown and everything. I mean, look what they did to Wade Barrett, right? It was the same deal, right? When they brought back the King of the Ring a few years ago. And it's exactly the point. You had these King of the Ring winners in the past. Ken Shamrock, Billy Gunn, Edge. You think, only Kurt Angle did the King thing. Because he was supposed to be goofy and nerdy. So it was funny when he did it. It played into the storyline. Then in 2002, when Brock Lesnar won the King of the Ring, which was the last one for a while, for a few years, it's one thing with Booker T and everything, because that became, I didn't actually like King Booker. But at least, he did something with it. Here it's Corbin, you see that he collects skulls, he's into metal. He's a cool guy, right? He's got the tats and everything. So, so why would this guy want to dress as a king? Like, why would he want to look like a goofball? And people will say, well, because of wrestling. But why? Why can't he play a cool character? Why does he have to play a character that, that's been being played since Jerry the King Lawler? And that's, Jerry the King Lawler obviously played that role the best, and no one can do it like him. So why even try? Why are we doing this? Why is someone dressed up as a king in 2019 when their name is not Jerry Lawler? I mean, for obvious reasons, the guy gets a pass because, he's an older legend, and, he makes that work for him and always did. But, anyway, so they tear into him. The Rock and Becky do the it doesn't matter what your name is thing, and they team up and everything. It's like, I don't know, it's like you if you were an old fan, you think back to Mankind, Mick Foley stealing the Rock's lines, and then you hear Becky doing it. There's such a drop off in quality. You just can't help but roll your eyes and cringe. So the cringe is not over yet, because the Rock starts, I forget who throws the first punch, but whatever the case may be, Corbin doesn't even land a single blow. Everything gets countered. He gets punched in the face by Becky, and he's reeling from it and everything. I think maybe he even got knocked down on one leg at one point. But they're just hitting him. He's turning to The Rock, then he's turning to Becky. It looks like a complete cartoon show. It's completely ridiculous, but whatever. It's not The Rock's fault. This is how they want to book it. That's how they want to do it. Whatever. So they beat him down and everything, and it looks ridiculous. So Corbin came out there to get embarrassed. And if Corbin were to get his revenge or something, but The Rock's not going to even be there. There's not going to be a program with Becky. It's going to be quickly forgotten about, and that's all that they're going to do. So they wanted to have a comedy spot. They wanted someone who could The Rock rip on. It's one thing, like I said, let The Rock rip on whoever they want. It was a good segment. It was great to hear The Rock, especially after such an extended absence. Just to hear someone that, one of the best of all time on the mic compared to some of these other goofballs. It's certainly better than listening to this. It's and better than listening to Cringy Lynch, of course. But it goes without saying that, man, how could you not feel sorry for Corbin? Because that they're not, first of all, The Rock labeled him with STD, super tough guy. And that is obviously going to stick, with Corbin. And, I just have to say, they just destroyed him. They buried the guy even further. Isn't it amazing that they'll give him an accolade like King of the Ring, but that's meaningless, just like any other championship belt. So, and they're not going to build him up. So, like, he's dead in the water after this. Cena got him, now The Rock got him, and now that's pretty much it for this guy. I mean, and it's such a waste. It's like, you know, why give a guy so much screen time just to make him look like a goofball? I said it already in the past. If you don't like him, just release the guy, suspend him, do whatever you have to do. But why do you have to torture the guy? Why do you have to make him go out on national TV and make him look like a freaking goofball? Good segment or not, I mean, you just ruined. So The Rock's not going to be there next week. Corbin is. So, you know, they eat themselves. You know, plan for the short term, but not for the long term. But, you know, obviously, they don't have anything really planned long term for anybody. So, then we move on. We've got Charlotte and Becky in their match. And they defeat Sasha Banks and Bayley. And, you know, whatever. It's a standard women's match and everything like that. And, you know, of course, nobody cares because why really would you? So then we've got backstage. We've got Kofi Kingston cutting a promo with the New Day. And, I mean, this might be fresh to new. But now you see how nerdy and goofy the current product is. You new fans who might have tuned in, or, you know, long gone returning fans, like I said, man, like, did they not even think about that? Did Fox not watch on SmackDown and say, no, leave New Day out of it, leave that goofball garbage off the show? Because, you know, we've got people tuning in to Fox like so advanced, like, you know, Fox is the network that aired Family Guy and all these other shows and everything, and other violent shows and everything, and you're gonna put New Day out on there? Like, I'm just saying, like, you know, Fox, like, revolutionized, like, the television industry with some, you know, raunchier, hard-hitting shows, and, you know, you're gonna put this stuff on. I'm just surprised, like, you know, that the network is so willy-nilly. Like, all those people working at Fox, and they're not aware that there's a goofball act on the show. Like, I don't know. I think they must have watched numerous USA shows. Unless, I don't know, unless they just really want the brand, because I don't see how you could want that in the show. I get it, it's characters, and I say characters all the time, and they were good at first, but this is worn out. I don't know if maybe they thought it was funny. Maybe that's it. Maybe some of the execs thought it was funny and they want to just, you know, but to the rest of everyone else who had been watching the show. So I guess maybe that's not fair. Maybe some of the casuals, you know, who happen to be channel surfing or wanted to check this out after being gone for so long, maybe they'll get a kick out of it, you know, laugh a little bit at it, who haven't in a while, but, you know, I don't know. We'll see as time goes on, and as the ratings plummet as the weeks go on, which we know that they will. So Seth Rollins comes out for his match. Bray Wyatt appears on the screen, and this is entertaining. Like, you know, I will say, it's just, you know why I have so much of a hard time with the Firefly Funhouse, and I'm like very like reserved about like praising it too heavily, is because there was nothing wrong with Bray Wyatt's character, the way how he envisioned it and everything, you know, there was nothing wrong with that, and they completely killed that, destroyed it, buried it as deep as they possibly could over the past 5-6 years with him. And so until there was nothing left, there was nothing left of Bray Wyatt, so they had no choice but to then say, like, well, you had Bray, you got anything? And then Bray comes up, and like I said, it's a good idea to do a split personality type of thing. He's this friendly Pee Wee Herman, Steve from Blue's Clues-esque type of character that can transform into this, you know, hideous fiend character. And the other problem what I have is that they're putting him behind a mask and everything, and I get that they want to really try to push, well, it's Bray's idea, right? The push home the alter ego thing, but it's just like, I don't want to see Bray behind a mask. And it's like, it's a mask that you've seen, and like someone had joked, there's been a few people making this joke, it's in Party City 1,000 times. There's even scarier masks. But, you know, they settle on this type of mask, and like, okay, so at least they're trying something fresh. At least it's getting Bray on TV in a vital role, you know, as vital as, you know, one character could possibly be in the current landscape of WWE. So, you know, it's just, so, you know, Seth is looking all horrified, and well, the funny thing is, it's just a rabbit getting torn apart in a little toy steel cage, and like Seth is looking all disturbed and everything. And when you really think about it, it's like, even if Bray did think, it's silly. It's just like, okay, I'll admit that was entertaining, but in the grand scope of things, you know, Fiend character or not, that was extremely silly and goofy, and you might be getting a kick out of it, but when you kind of think about it, it's like, Seth is scared by this. It's the reaction. He should be laughing like the rest of us. Why are we all laughing and Seth is scared? Like, it was goofy. A toy got torn apart. I mean, like, really, it's like when he snapped the action figure in half. Like, I am sorry, but why are more people not calling that out? Seth Rollins snapping an action figure in half. Oh my God, this is creative genius. Okay, so maybe he didn't come up with that. I would assume that someone from creative did. But then again, I don't know. So, like, okay, so The Fiend is not being handled well. I made a whole video about it. Go check that one out. It's a few videos back, but, you know. Anyway. So we get to the match, and we've got Seth Rollins against Shinsuke Nakamura. Oh, but before that happened, Hulk Hogan, they go to a commercial. Hulk Hogan is going to sit at ringside with Ric Flair. They don't even do his whole entrance. It's like, we're back on SmackDown, and Hogan's coming out like, oh, wow. Like, why would they not play him to the ring? You're on Fox. Hogan's never been on Fox on a WWE show. Why would you not do the whole thing? Why would you not blast Real American over the PA and get people to their feet? Get people talking. What? I mean, and I still can't believe that they're going to do Hogan, Flair, and everything like this. And the first, like, major thing that they do with Hogan wrestling-wise, like, you're going to do it in Saudi Arabia, of all places. I mean, man, I can't stand these Saudi Arabia shows. Like, they just, why do they put so much energy into these shows and like, and everything is lackluster everywhere else? You know, like I'm saying, like why would you book Goldberg and Taker? Like, why would you not have tried to do that at a WrestleMania at one time? You save it all the way to like a WrestleMania, like 2 years after Goldberg makes his return. Like, it was just such horrible, like, foresight and planning there. So anyway, so, you know, and Flair's there at ringside. Hey, there's Ric Flair. If you blinked, you would have missed him. So Seth Rollins has his match with, you know, Nakamura, and I'm just saying to myself here, like, are they really doing this? Are they really having a match with these two guys? Like, I get it. Seth is the champion, but Nakamura? Like, hey, you haven't watched wrestling in years? Look how far the talent has fallen. You're asking yourself, where's Ken Shamrock? Where's Chris Jericho? Oh, that's right. He's on the other show, AEW, on TNT. You know, oh, what happened to the Dudley Boys? What happened to Edge? What happened to The Undertaker, who was not on this show, but he was advertised? And where was Stone Cold Steve Austin? How did I know this was going to happen? Go back when I did a reaction to the commercial that they aired for SmackDown, when I said that this was a misrepresentation, and that's back when I even thought that those people were going to be featured on the show, and they didn't even end up showing up. So they have this match, and it's just like, Like, why would anyone sit through this? Like, flipping the channels. Anyone's just gonna stop when these two guys are wrestling on this on this show to watch that. Like, if you didn't know that Seth Rollins was a world champion, would you assume that he was a world champion? Of course you wouldn't. Because you look back at the guy who opened the show, The Rock. Okay, that guy you obviously see what is somebody. You know who that is. Even if he wasn't a major Hollywood actor, you would still know by flipping through the channels, if you've never seen The Rock before, that guy was something. You should probably keep the channel dialed to that particular station so you could see what that guy was doing, because he looks like he's someone important. You want to get to know him. Do you really want to get to know Seth Rollins? Do you really want to get to know Nakamurphy? Like, look at these guys. Like, look what they look like. Look at Nakamurphy in the jumpsuit. He just looks like you think you were watching something weird on public access or something like that. Or some weird indie movie. Just like, it's not something that you'd want to watch. So, anyway, the lights go out. We've got The Fiend and everything. And, I love how The Fiend ends up pushing Seth Rollins through a table. And you just got, by the way, like, this is the other thing, guys, what I have to say, like, guys, go back and listen to Tony Schiavone and JR on Dynamite. And this is coming from someone who didn't even, like, really like that show. But the commentary was so good, and they got everything over on that show to the best of their ability. But then you listen to Corey Graves and Michael Cole, and this complete farce of commentary. Okay, so at least it was only two guys this time. So at least it was only a two-man team. And, that's all fine and well. I really liked that there was only two, but they did a really lousy job. I mean, par for the course of course. But the thing is, you would expect them to be a little bit more on their A game. I've heard Graves be on. We all know that Cole could be on. I don't know if it was Vince was barking in their ear, extra loudly this time, but it was a complete abomination on commentary. Oh, he just got pushed through a table. Like, I understand he's whispering it in shock, but my God, that's the wrong reaction. So, I don't get this. So, Cole screams like a maniac a few weeks ago through the whole thing with Bray Wyatt. Ah, Bray Wyatt, the Fiend is here, Mandible Claw, and all that nonsense. And then we've got, we fast forward several weeks, and okay, Cole, shut his mouth here. He only said, "Oh, it's the Fiend" once, and quieted it down. He probably listened to some of the criticism that he received. And rightfully so, but, when someone gets pushed off a stage, that would probably be the time to raise your voice a few decibel levels. I'm just saying. But, I mean, man, talk about, just underselling there. Kevin Owens defeated Shane McMahon in a ladder match. They rushed through this match. They did the spot so quick. There was a commercial break in there, so they were moving. Elbow drop through the table. You had the coast to coast and everything. It ends with a power bomb on the ladder. Kevin Owens goes to the top, grabs the briefcase. It was good for what it was. But, man, they had no time to tell any type of story in there. They were just it was, I guess they were pressed for time, so they did what they had to do. But, man, I don't know. It's just they just seemed like they jumped into that. And, I'm sorry, Kevin Owens is company hero. I'm not buying that. I'm sorry, but the guy online at Dunkin' Donuts is not going to be the company hero for me. It doesn't matter if he does the same finisher. you can't put them in the same storyline and, you know, the same extremely watered down storyline. I mean, how many times are they going to try this? It didn't work for Roman Reigns, and it's sure as hell not going to work for Kevin Owens. Except this time, I noticed people are not even criticizing it, by the way. Now it's even more derivative, because now you've got the guy actually performing his finishing move. I mean, like, are we done yet with people copying Stone Cold? None of you people are going to be as good as Stone Cold. You're not even close. Doesn't matter if you do his moves. Doesn't matter if you imitate his promos, cringy Lynch. It doesn't matter. You're not going to be like Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was one of a kind. And by the way that they, you know, handle things, there's never going to be anyone even close that gets to that level of him or The Rock. Or any of these guys. Like, I mean, you know, don't even try. So, apparently now, Shane has been terminated. And in my opinion, I have to say thank God, because, like, I don't know what it was, but Shane McMahon was, like, asleep at the wheel. How the hell could this guy be the son of the owner? And, like, I don't know, but, like, the performances that he was putting out, like, not in the ring, of course. I mean, this guy leaves it all on the line, but, like, on the mic, it's almost like this guy forgot how to cut a promo. I don't know what it is, but, like, this guy used to be full of so much energy in life, and I get that he's older, but he's not that old. And plus, I have seen Vince McMahon when he was 65, like, wrestling the Hell in a Cell matches, doing that whole feud with DX, you know, talking at the top of his lungs and all this stuff. So don't tell me that Shane, who's much younger, can't get that done. It's just, I don't know, he's just so laid back. It's like every single time he comes out there, it's almost like someone shot him with a tranquilizer dart or something. But you know, Shane McMahon, man, like, and also like this, like, you know, Shane McMahon, who you haven't seen in years if you're returning to Fox, and now he's gone. So it's like, okay, you know, that was weird to do that, like, right from the offset. You know, like, at least let people get reintroduced to Shane first so they would care. It's just like, they just, like, continued everything previously. I'm not saying that they should stop dead in their tracks, but it's not even like they had anything worth telling storyline-wise anyway. They might as well just killed everything and rebooted it. I mean, because, like, you're tuning in for the first time, and it's like, you don't know, like, what, it all looks crappy, and it's just like, here it is. I mean, like I said, good match. It was decent for what that was, what they put on in such a short amount of time. Then backstage, we hear the Heyman promo that we've heard 1,000 times. Spoiler alert. Like, could I ask a question here? Especially now that this guy is writing Raw. Like, can this guy possibly cut a different promo? For God's sakes, put some different verbiage in it? Why must every promo be based around the same template? Does it always have to be spoiler alert? Like, I mean, okay, that's a slightly newer one, but you notice every single time he gets a new word in his vocabulary, or a new term, or a new catchphrase, if you could even call it that, it's always repeated 1,000 times ad nausea. I mean, like, come on. It's like, you know, Heyman, like, man, he was a great commentator back in 2001, a great general manager back in the day. I mean, this guy, like, you listen to his promo, his shoot promo at One Night Stand. What happened to that Heyman? That's the Heyman I want back. This Heyman, I mean, you would think, like, you know, I like Paul Heyman, but nowadays, you listen to me talk about Paul Heyman, you think I hate the guy. Which is, you know, not the case, but this new Heyman, I don't like this Paul Heyman. This is not a very good side of Paul Heyman. This Heyman's been in a rut for now 6 years straight, and it needs to 7 years straight now, right? Brock returned in 2012. I mean, it's got to come to an end already. I mean, do something new with yourself. Kind of like these shows you're writing. It's all the same stuff with minor changes. It's almost exactly like the way how you write the show, the promos. It's probably where you get inspiration. You know, let's just do things the same way, but make little changes. Then we've got Braun Strowman, The Miz, and Heavy Machinery defeating AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Dolph Ziggler, and Bobby Roode. And, like, this was probably the most random assortment that I have ever seen in my life. Like, where did they get the idea to put all these guys together? I was looking at this and I'm like, first of all, the Miz looks so out of place standing next to Heavy Machinery. And then they've got Braun Strowman, you know, doing the get these hands to Tyson Fury. And I'm looking and like, I'm just saying like, whoa, this is a mess. And I forgot to mention it. That part was, it was a little bit better than the Jay and Silent Bob thing with Kevin Smith at the AEW show at Dynamite. I didn't even mention that. I had like everything written down, and I completely forgot to mention that. I forgot to write it, but it was, you know, really goofy and like stupid. And so, like, at least this was a little bit better, but it's like, I don't even know who Tyson Fury is. I know he's a boxing guy, but I don't know, is he really that big of a name? I guess you have to plead ignorance on this one. I didn't know who he was, but whatever. I mean, like, I expect maybe some bigger star or something like that. Oh, get these hands. Like, Braun Strowman is not even a boxer. You know who is a boxer? You know who is one? The guy that you buried in the first segment, you stupid idiots. Baron Corbin is a former Golden Glove. And what did you do? You castrated him in the first segment. Oh, isn't that ironic? Oh my god. So just like, man, we're on Fox, and like the more I even talk about it, the more I realize that this show is just like, oh my god. Like, as many things as they tried to change or anything, but like, you look at this match and it's like, besides Tyson Fury being there, and then at the end, you know, accidentally, well, probably on purpose, whatever the case may be, Strowman throws someone into him at ringside, and then, you know, then there was this big delay, because then Braun scoops up Ziggler, hits the power slam on him, pins him clean. And this is like right after Corey Graves says, Ziggler's having a career resurgence. Oh, is he now? He just got pinned. Like, moments after he says that. So poetic. Like, and it is, because, like, you know, they've completely failed Dolph Ziggler. It's nothing. Dolph Ziggler has tried. He's tried to cut promos at the top of his lungs, poured his heart out, wrestled matches, put his body on the line, shown tons of charisma, and what is he got to show for it? A really lousy world title run, and like not much else. So, you know, they've completely failed the guy, and I think more than anyone on the roster, like, you could look to Dolph Ziggler and see like just how they have no idea what the hell they're doing when it comes to any of these wrestlers or stars. I mean, damn. But anyway, after like 5 whole minutes, Tyson Fury finally gets angry and decides to come into the ring. Like, why didn't he like interrupt the match? Like, when everybody was distracted, like, they could have had him come into the ring, but like all the security comes out. And okay, and let's keep the thing in mind about the security here. So they all rush over and stop Tyson from going over the barricade, and, you know, whatever. Like, I guess we're supposed to get excited, because I'm kind of just like rolling my eyes, like, okay, you know, like, I don't even care about this. They've completely failed Braun Strowman as well. So it's like, this guy, I mean, after what they had Seth Rollins do to him, can we even really look at this guy and not roll our eyes or cringe in some way? Then we have Roman Reigns defeating Eric Rowan, and this is like a pretty like well put together match. You know, you had Roman Reigns diving on all the lumberjacks, so it was a lumberjack match. And, you know, I don't know, but, like, wasn't it a bit, like, kind of uneventful for a, for like, a big debut for SmackDown? That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like this, like, 8-man tag, like, why? Or Rollins versus Nakamura. Like, okay, it got Seth Rollins out there, just like it got the guys out there so Braun can interact with Tyson Fury. But then, like, why is Braun even interacting with Tyson Fury? Braun should not be interacting with any celebrities, especially after the whole SNL debacle thing that went on, like, at WrestleMania, pre-WrestleMania. Like, do we really need to see more Hollywood stuff from Braun? I mean, come on already. We're already going back to this Braun Strowman interacting with celebrities. I mean, quite frankly, if I were Tyson Fury, a real boxer, I'd be laughing at Braun Strowman. Like, hey, you want to get these hands? Like, it's such a stupid catchphrase, too. Like, he's not even a boxing guy. He's a big man. He's supposed to be a monster. Get these hands. Like, where'd they even come up with that? The more and more, like, I know he's had that catchphrase now for like 2 years, but I'm just saying, the more I think about it, it's stupid. So, anyway, I just thought that, you know, Roman and Eric, it was good, like, well done and everything, but, like, you know, here you got Roman just beats Eric, and I don't expect Eric Rowan to beat Roman Reigns, but I'm just saying, like, you know, you just beat him clean here. It's just like no protection or anything for Rowan. You know, Luke Harper comes out. Daniel Bryan, you know, stops him. There's a brawl. And then you see Daniel Bryan and Roman are going to team up. Like, are they really going to have like a basic tag match that's not even for tag belts? Like, these, I'm going to tell you something. Tag team matches like that don't ever work. I always felt that, like, having a tag team match that's not from like tag teams but like two main eventers together, that's stuff for Raw and SmackDown. That's on a pay-per-view, and I hate to tell you, but that's not even anything new. They even did some of that stuff during the Ruthless Aggression era. I remember. I remember having like Triple H, like Evolution versus like Kevin Nash and a few other guys at Backlash. Lazy stuff right there. There's no reason like why you should have like these like world champion caliber guys, Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns, tagging together. Do that on SmackDown. Why didn't they have that match tonight? Why didn't they do Roman and Bryan and get through this stuff of them teaming up early? Like, why put that on Hell in the Cell? If anything, more people were going to watch. It's on the network anyway. More people were going to watch on Fox. This was more important than Hell in the Cell, but instead put it on Hell in the Cell. You know, which is supposed to be a pay-per-view. It's like, I don't get it. I don't know how you want to interpret this, but that was really foolish to just like, you know, you're gonna book a tag match. Give us more of a reason not to watch Hell in the Cell, you know, by putting stupid random Raw caliber matches on a pay-per-view, which is not even a pay-per-view anymore. Okay, so up next you had Brock Lesnar defeating Kofi Kingston in 9 seconds. Wade Keller has it clocked in at 5 minutes. He's a total nerd, so I would say that that's probably the more accurate time. But whatever the case may be, I mean, I don't think it's 5 seconds because he held him up there for like about 5 seconds in the F5 before dropping him. So Keller, like, you need to be nerdier because you're not good at counting, whatever it is, or get a new stopwatch or fix your iPhone or something like that. But anyway, so Brock beats Kofi Kingston, downs him with the F5, and all this WrestleMania stuff, 6 months, half a year as champion comes to a crashing halt. Great, good. I'm happy. You know, get the belt off that guy. I mean, having him on Fox with the belt, and this is what I'm saying. You put the guy in the intro, and then you just made him look pathetic there. And this is what I'm going to say here, because this is a double-edged sword. Here's a sword, here's the double edges of it. I mean, guys, you've watched if you're a long-time subscriber on here, you have certainly watched my WrestleMania 35 review. I'm not saying you have to watch the whole thing. That'd be great if you did, but go back and watch that video. Listen to what I say about Kofi Kingston there when he wins the world title. Undeserved, ridiculous, not fitting of a champion. You know, people use questionable language to describe me when I said this. Of course they did, because that's the world we live in nowadays. But anyway, that's besides the point. Kofi Kingston, like, they jobbed him out here. A world champion jobber. And that's not even the Universal title. That's the WWE Championships. That, I always say it. That's the Hulk Hogan title. That's the Bruno Sammartino title. That was worn by the Ultimate Warrior, the Macho Man, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Mick Foley, The Undertaker. All the greats have worn that belt. And, you know, Kofi Kingston. I've said it time and time again. Kofi Kingston. You guys want to give Jinder Mahal all that garbo over him being champion. But you want to talk about Kofi Kingston being a worthy champion? I mean, you look at that opening to SmackDown, and you see all, like, you know, they put together some pretty decent guys in that opening package there. You know, but you think back, like, Kofi Kingston. Just like, let's compare Undertaker, Kofi Kingston. And I know people are going to use Daniel Bryan against me and everything like that, but, you know, to each his own. You don't like Daniel Bryan, you don't think he was a worthy WWE champion, then that's fine. I'll accept that. I don't agree with it, but whatever. I think that, you know, Bryan has more of a presence. I think, you know, there's a definitely better on the promo, not as cringy as a lot of these other. But anyway, like, so you think that the you know, the purple and pink goofball Kofi Kingston with the unicorn garbage on his head, you think that that's fine? Go for it. But anyway, you built this guy up for 6 months, shoved him down our throats, and you people said that Roman Reigns was shoved down our throats. I get it, because it's not who you like. You don't like Roman Reigns, but you do like Kofi Kingston. And no one even cared about this guy. In fact, he was probably the least talked about member of the New Day. The worst talker of the New Day, by the way. Xavier Woods is annoying, but the guy knows how to at least talk. Big E is really entertaining. I say he should have left these goofballs behind a long time ago. Now would be the time. You know, imagine if Big E makes fun of Kofi for losing in 9 seconds and says, "I'm done with this loser team," and leaves. Right? Because, like, they lost the tag titles, right? Didn't they? So, oh yeah, they did. So, like, now would be the perfect time for Big E to say, "See you later," because, like, these guys have lost, you know, and now New Day has no belts. But that's besides the point. We're not talking about Big E. You built this guy up. You wasted 6 months of everybody's time. You made me stop watching the show because of this horribleness. One of the many reasons, by the way, but a pretty decent sized reason. So, you know, Kofi Kingston now, you just wiped everything away in 9 seconds, and you prove that he wasn't worthy, and that it could just be wiped away in a millisecond. And that's what they did here. So it was good. It was funny. It was entertaining to see Kofi Kingston lose in such a fashion. I'm happy to see that they've gotten the belt off of him. But, like, I have noticed something. They use Brock Lesnar now as a troll for the Smarks, and it's getting really annoying. And for a guy like me that, you know, that loves to like make fun of the Smarks and their terrible behavior and their goofballness, I have to say that I think it's really counterproductive, because it would make me a hypocrite otherwise, because I am for a good product. I am for, you know, maintaining integrity within the key players and all the players that appear on the show, you know. So that's why I talk about them the way I do for so many years here on this channel, because like I'm saying, I'm not doing it just to criticize. Anyone could do that, you know. You could just say this sucks, that sucks. I'm the only one who will actually break down the show for you, and I think that's kind of hard to debate when you look at this with an open mind. But yeah, I'm being very fair. I don't think they should have done this. You know, I'm not saying that he should have went 50-50 with Brock, but at least like have Big E, like, you know, at least had the Rock, the ref get knocked down, and Big E comes in, hits him with the big ending, and try to drag it out a little bit. Come up with something. After all that stuff you did in the past and everything, you're gonna have Finn Balor go 50-50 with Brock Lesnar, almost look like he's gonna take the title from him at the beginning of the year, and Kofi Kingston loses in 9 seconds. I mean, here I am defending Kofi Kingston, but I'm just saying, you know, after all of that and him beating Randy Orton and him able to stand toe-to-toe with a star like Randy Orton, and he just like wipe it out. Oh my God. I mean, just unheard of just how stupid it was. And then this is how it goes off the air. Kofi Kingston is a total afterthought. The world title win is an afterthought, because right away they have Cain Velasquez come out with Rey Mysterio, and that's fine. You want to go to one thing to another, but here's the problem I have with that. Brock has just asserted his dominance. He's been reintroduced to the Fox audience. Oh my God, look at Brock Lesnar. He just tore through that guy. Now, that is something that I do understand, but I'm saying in their long term, it was bad. But for the shock value, I get why they did it. So here, I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm giving a number of different views. Did I like it? It was entertaining, but it was ridiculous to someone who watched WrestleMania and saw Kofi, like, gain his popularity from the Smarks at the Elimination Chamber earlier this year, which led to the WrestleMania match, which led to the victory. And all the ridiculousness that happened on SmackDown and Raw prior to WrestleMania. So I followed this. So to see it like end this way, and this is not coming from a Kofi fan. It's coming from someone who actually dislikes him. Then you know it's serious. So anyway, but I get why they did. They wanted to shock the audience. Okay, but are people really going to care that much? I'm just saying. So anyway, Cain Velasquez comes out. It's not really that shocking, because you knew he was like gonna do something eventually. There was a lot of rumors and everything, but it was cool. So it's basically like he's supposed to be friends with Rey Mysterio. Rey like guides him to the ring, and he's getting revenge, I guess, for like Dominic and Rey Mysterio, because like he beat them up on Raw and whatever. So Cain, you know, that's gotta be Cain. No, not that one. But anyway, Cain Velasquez comes down to the ring. Scoops the legs out from under Brock. Starts hitting him with some nice looking shots. And it looked good. But then Brock just bails out of the ring. And like, oh my God. Like, he's done this before. I get it. But like, you'll bring out security for the boxer and Braun Strowman, but you won't do that here. So like, this was the time, like, we waited to see Cain Velasquez and Brock. And also, like, this is the other thing, that was years ago. That's something from back in 2012, 2011, and we're going back to it. I'm just saying to myself, better a little too little too late. Like, I'm sorry to say this, but Cain Velasquez now is irrelevant. I know people are gonna like hate me for saying this, but like I don't really care that much. Like I wasn't blown away. It was a cool moment because I know the history too. I know about the 1-round knockout and everything. And you know it's a pretty like classic UFC fight. You know, the dominant Brock Lesnar got conquered by Cain Velasquez, and like I get it. It was an interesting idea to end the show, but like I'm not a big fan of like once again, you're gonna have like every heel on this show is a coward. So now you're gonna have Brock Lesnar do the same shtick, and he's done it in the past, but he hasn't done it for a very long time. So like I'm just saying, like, why would you have him run from him? Wouldn't Brock want to get his revenge on Cain? But I also have to say, this is a little bit ridiculous. Like I'm saying, this is something from 8 years ago that was barely talked about. And now all of a sudden, it's time to get my revenge on Brock Lesnar, because I beat him. So it's like, I don't know. I guess it's like Rey Mysterio is supposed to be friends with him, so he's coming out to do the revenge. But you see what I'm saying? It's like 8 years later. Like, WWE always does things too late. Just like with Ronda Rousey and everything. They always miss the boat. Like, the popularity from these people is gone. The moment when they should have done it has passed. I mean, we're talking about a company that did The Undertaker versus Goldberg in 2019. I mean, need I say more? Need I say more? No, I don't think I need to say more. And I'm looking on Instagram, and there was some basketball player that actually said, that should have been you, Taker, in the closing spot. And Taker was like, I was told that I wasn't needed. And that was verified. I looked, that was The Undertaker's official account, blue check mark and all. Verified Undertaker. I follow him on there, but like, and I'm like, oh my god. And I looked, I'm not surprised. Everyone that was worthwhile, all these legends sing at ringside, Trish Stratus and Lita and everything. Meanwhile, all these people who are not over, all the boring stars that WWE has poorly built, they're all like paraded out, and like, I don't know. I think if you were a longtime fan, you probably just tuned in. You're like, hey, there's The Rock, and who are these other people with him? And then you're like, I'm saying like, and then the one guy who kind of looks like he might be something, he's too busy getting castrated by The Rock and a girl. And everyone else, like, after they saw Naka Murphy and Seth Rollins, I think they turned the channel. So, I mean, it was out of the ordinary of this show. That, obviously there was more going on it. There was definitely eventfulness, which gives it points. It was very poorly commentated. Probably one of the worst performances I've heard from Corey Graves and Michael Cole. For like a Fox show, they really sounded like they were half asleep. They came alive like during the ladder match, but like, man, they were like not really into it. I really got a feeling that like Vince McMahon was probably really yelling in their ear. And I think it was like one of those nights because this was an important night. It was their debut on Fox. I hate to say it, but they really should have tried more to try to appeal to the casual audience. They still did way more of the norm, the same and everything, but they did show effort. They did try to do different things. The Rock greatly added to it. The Brock Lesnar Kofi Kingston thing made things interesting, as did Cain Velasquez, even though it's like 8 years too late. There was a variety of decent moments and everything, but like, what am I gonna say? Did I like it better than AEW? Not really. Like I said, I think it's kind of like even in a way. There was a lot of stuff I really disliked about AEW Dynamite, and a lot of stuff I disliked about this show. And there was like a few things that I liked with both shows. So it's like, it's kind of like this, it's like I said, AEW is not that much different than WWE. So it kind of makes sense in a way, They both showed effort on their respective shows. which I appreciate, and you know, but this should have been better. It should have been way better. But we say that all the time, and that is why I don't consistently review these shows, because I repeat myself over and over. But I had fun reviewing this show. You know, I had a decent time, I suppose, watching this SmackDown. But yeah, there you go, guys. Anyway, it's been a super long video, but I had a lot to say, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all the notifications when I post all my new videos. And guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.